Alright guys, welcome to another video. Today we are going to be going over one of three videos. This is our new build for the editing and slash gaming rig that we're going to be using for all of our YouTube, wedding videos, and things like that. And then we're going to also do a little bit of gaming on it. So this is, like I said, the first part of a three-step process. So today's video is just going to basically go over the parts that we chose, kind of talk about why we chose them. We'll do a little bit of comparing at the end to what we currently are running in our older system, so you can kind of see the differences and why we went that route. So the second video that we're planning is the actual build vlog slash video. I'll have a special guest for that, helping me putting this PC together, since this is my first PC that I've ever built. So take that with a grain of salt. If you're coming across this and you're using this as a build guide, I would highly recommend looking for more than one source. I've sourced out a couple different videos from a couple different YouTubers, from reputable sources. So, you know, that's kind of what I would recommend. So if you are, in fact, new to building PCs, this should not be your only stop. But today, like I said, we're just going to be talking about the parts. Video 2 will be about assembling the product itself. And video 3 will kind of be like maybe a week or two later after we've gotten a chance to use the system, edit on it, play some games on it, stuff like that. We're not going to go too far into like benchmarks and all that stuff and kind of comparisons and all that. But we will kind of see, like, you know, we'll compare maybe like what a normal video or vlog or would have required as far as rendering goes on my old system versus the new system. So it's going to require a little bit of hoops to jump through because we're running an older version of DaVinci. We'll probably load that up on here just for, you know, apples to apples comparison. But for now, let's go ahead and jump into the parts. So we've decided to go with AMD as our processor. The new Ryzen 3 series has been pretty much a kind of a go-to for people looking to build not only a good gaming rig, but also a powerhouse as far as workstations are concerned. So we originally were going to go with the 3900X. Unfortunately, those are not in stock. So we decided to go with the Ryzen 7 3700X. The 3800 just wasn't worth the extra cost when you're looking at the extra, you know, the cores are the exact same, the threads are the exact same, it's just a different clock, different boost speeds. So this is the one we went. We saved a little bit of money and picked up a few extra peripherals, and we'll talk about those here in a little bit. So that leads us over to our graphics card. We went with a GeForce RTX 2070. This is, you know, basically it's not the super version. We decided to go price for performance on this. We got a great deal on this particular card, brand new, never been used before. I'm excited to try it out. We considered there was a couple things that went into this decision. First off, cost was a big deal. We wanted to make sure that we were getting as much as we possibly could out of the actual card itself. But the other thing is we were looking for aesthetic, and that's one of the things that you'll notice with this build is not only did we want to go with performance, but we were also looking at what the components are going to look like when they're all put together. We could have went with the 2070 Super, and that was actually recommended to me by a few different people. Unfortunately, when we purchased the card itself, and as of the filming of this, there's just really not that the style of card we're looking at. And I believe this is another product that, you know, another piece, and you'll hear me talk about this throughout this entire video. This is a build that we're looking to upgrade down the line, maybe 2 or 3 years down the line. This would be a piece that we could definitely upgrade, you know, when they come out with the next line of graphics cards, and we can actually see a bump in performance on a gaming standpoint. So for memory, we went with our Corsair Vengeance Pro. This is the RGB kit in white, and that's kind of the first indication of where we're going with this build. We're going for a white theme. It is RGB, so we can still add a little bit of a splash of color in there with some lighting effects from Corsair's software, which, by the way, is fantastic. So this is a 32 gig kit, DDR4 at 3200 megahertz. I understand that with AMD's new Ryzen chips that you want the fastest speed possible. There is a 3600 kit out there. The only problem is you're going to be paying significantly more for it. And this, again, kind of like the graphics card, we took a little bit of a shortcut. 3200 is still a good speed for memory for AMD. Again, this might be something that we want to upgrade later. especially if we're going to look at maybe like going to 64 gigs of RAM. This is really to kind of just get us off and running. So great product. Really looking forward to putting it into the system. So speaking of plugging into the system, this is going to be our motherboard. We're looking at a Asus Prime X570. This is the Pro version with AuraSync. Again, kind of got that white theme to it. It's got a little bit of RGB in there, but it really has what we're looking for as far as connection goes. There's two M.2 slots. We'll talk about that in a minute. There's plenty of expansion slots for our graphics card, and we've got a capture card that's in our old system that we'll be carrying over. It is compatible with our Ryzen 3 series chip, so again, going with that aesthetic, going with the whitewash type of system. So talking about our hard drive system, so we've got two different storage solutions selected here. Both are from Western Digital. We've got, first up, we have our SSD. We've got a M.2 card. It's not NVMe, so it's still going to be performing as the same level as a standard SSD. It's just not going to give us all those extra cables to have to worry about when it comes to plugging into our motherboard. All we're going to have to do is slide it in, screw it down, and it's good to go. So the benefit for this particular board is it's got a second expansion slot for M.2. So later on down the line, if we wanted to upgrade to a NVMe drive for a faster read and write speeds, we can do that. So that, Windows, and basically the way we've got this set up is Windows and our games and anything that we're currently working on is going to go on the M.2, and then we have a Western Digital 4 terabyte hard drive for basically mass storage. Basically, when we finish a project, we'll move it off the 1 terabyte M.2 and move it over to the 4 terabyte, and that's kind of where everything's going to live. Keeping our CPU cooler, we've got a Corsair H100. This is the RGB Platinum SE series in white. Just an all-around workhorse of a cooler. It's got two fans on it. It's going to basically we're going to replace the Ryzen fan that comes with the chip itself. We won't be using that. This will be attaching to the top or front of our case, depending on where everything fits. So moving on to our power supply, we went with Corsair. This is the RM750X. It's in white, fully modular, which is great. We kind of kicked around a little bit of going with fully modular with partial modular. And to be honest with you, if you're trying to save some money, this is a great place to kind of take a shortcut. I would never, based on what I've read, what I've heard, you should never take shortcuts on your power supply, like on the actual ratings and things like that. This is an 80 plus gold rated power supply, so it's a great power supply. But if you're looking to save a few bucks, obviously we went with the white one to kind of match the aesthetic of the system. Going with a black one, going with one that's partially modular, is still a benefit. There's, looking at the current power supplies, there isn't 150 cables that are just drooping out of this thing. You have you have basically cables that are used in just about every build. And nowadays, cable management happens mostly behind the motherboard. Some cases even have shrouds for your power supply, so all the unused cables will still stay hidden. So one of the main reasons we did go with this one is because it comes with white cables, which is fantastic for our build. It'll look sharp with the cooler, it'll look sharp with the actual motherboard, and just everything in general is just kind of give it that nice clean look. The last piece here inside the case is our case itself. This is the Fractal Design Meshify S2. Just an all-around fantastic looking, kind of, I don't want to say modern looking. It's got a little bit of character to it with the front. The front mesh has kind of got like that pixel, polygon type of broken up front panel. And that's kind of, we are going for performance here, but we're also looking at budget, and we're also looking at aesthetics. So we're looking at a lot of different things, and especially for the first build, and from my understanding, that's, kind of going against the grain. A lot of people really recommend when you're going for your first build, it should be budget over aesthetic. And we're going to be using this PC for a long time. We've been using our current PC for just about 4 years now. And back when we built it, it was a budget PC. I mentioned before when we purchased our processor, the Ryzen 3700X, So we saved a little bit of money from the 3900X that we were going to purchase when we got this one on sale. So we went ahead and picked up 2 peripherals. We picked up a new Corsair, kind of going with the same theme here. We went with the Corsair K68 RGB keyboard. It's corded keyboard, fully RGB. It's got the same suite of programming that they offer with all of their RGB equipment. So fantastic software. Got to play with it a little bit at the store. Really enjoyed my time with it. So I'm looking forward to this. It's got the Cherry MX switches, so you've got that nice mechanical keyboard feel to it. So in the last piece that we picked up with the money that we saved from our processor was a new mouse. We've been using a wireless mouse, very cheap, and it just loses connection, and it's not very responsive. And it's a mouse keyboard combo, so if one fails, the other one kind of gets a little eh. So we picked up a Logitech MX Master 2S. This is a fantastic mouse. It comes highly recommended from a lot of the professionals in videography. Just plenty of shortcuts that you can program into the mouse itself. The nice thing, it comes with software that you can do so you can macro different keys on it. It's got quite a few different array of buttons and wheels and things like that on itself. Now it's not a gaming mouse, and I completely understand that. Like I said, this machine is probably going to be worked. So this machine is probably going to be about 75 work, 25% play. And with the different edits that we're going to be using and things like that in Premiere and DaVinci, we want to use something that's more aligned with what we're going to be doing on our workload versus the 25% game side. With that being said, there's still some budget out there to actually pick up a gaming mouse, but I wanted to make sure that we had the actual workflow piece of hardware selected before this actual video itself. So all in all, I'm looking forward to building in it. Like I said, guys, this is my first PC that I've ever built, first PC that I've ever kitted out. So far I'm really enjoying it. All these parts were put together through PC Part Picker. It's a fantastic website. I'm sure if you're building PCs, you know all about it. But I highly recommend it because coming from no background whatsoever, and and they always tell you like, oh, building a PC nowadays is just like Lego for adults, you just plug and play. But that's not entirely true, because you need to make sure that you have compatible hardware, and specifically with your processor and motherboard. And the nice thing about PC Part Picker is if you have an incompatibility, or if there might be an issue between your graphics card and your motherboard, or your graphics card and whatever the case may be, it'll tell you ahead of time. It gives you those warnings. So I truly do appreciate that. I had a few people look over the build itself, so I kind of got the green light from others as well, so I wasn't just kind of flying blind. At the end of the day, this is going to be the machine that we use to edit all of our videos on, that we edit all of our YouTube videos on, stream on, game on, things like that. So with that being said, breaking down all these different parts and things like that, I wanted to take a look at what we're currently using and kind of compare it to what we've got here on the table. So inside our current workstation, we're still working with AMD. We're working with a AMD FX 6300 processor. It's a 6-core processor versus what we're going to be upgrading to, which is going to be 8 cores, 16 threads. So a little bit of a bump there. So that moves us over to graphics cards. So right now we're running 2 GTX 950s set up in SLI. I mean, it does what it needs to do, right? I was able to play last gen games on it without a problem, 60 frames a second, not a problem whatsoever. If you plug in current games like Destiny 2 and things like that, and games that are that are coming out, Tomb Raider and things like that, Borderlands is another one. It's not going to be able to hold up at that speed. So again, like I said, we're not really working on gaming on this computer. We're looking more so on the computing power for workflow and things like that with editing. So we still went with an upgrade as far as the GPU goes. So again, really kind of looking forward to breaking down and seeing what the difference is between the two cards versus this card. As far as memory is concerned, we have 16 gigs of memory that we're working with now. So being able to double that and probably faster memory at that is just going to be a huge bump as far as processing goes for when we're editing videos. As far as hard drive, this is another place where we made a significant upgrade. So like I told you guys before, we're running the Western Digital Blues for both the M.2 SSD and then also our permanent solution with the 4 terabyte hard drive. We just have a 1 TB hard drive in there right now, and it's just one of the spinning hard drives. So not really performance heavy, but reliable, just not performance. So being able to make that jump into SSD and not really, and skipping the generation of your traditional SSD and going right to the M.2, it kind of makes me feel good. It feels like this is going to be a nice improvement over what we're currently looking at. It helps with load times. It'll help with rendering, things like that, accessing files, all that good stuff. So based on the system specs and the system information that we've pulled from our computer, it looks like the system that we're currently working on, it was built in December of 2015. So this is about a 4-year upgrade, which is a significant upgrade for what we're looking at here. Now, keep in mind, we did build on a budget, so we cut corners on a couple different things with this other build. We definitely looked at cutting corners on our motherboard because we really didn't need a lot of different expansions, just enough to handle the 2 graphics cards and the actual capture card itself. And then we also cut a little bit of corner getting a cheaper, more affordable power supply. So those are the 2 places that we cut corners with this one. The 950s, again, were something that we didn't spend a lot of money on. We got them used and gave us the computing power, gave us the power that we were looking for the games that I was playing. That's Diablo 3, Baldur's Gate, older titles like that. Dabbling a little bit with Minecraft with my son and some other stuff like that. Obviously, this is going to be a lot stronger PC, so I'm looking forward to seeing what it's going to do versus our older PC. So I want to thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for our build log. Like I said, I've got a special guest that's going to be joining me, putting this together, just to make sure I don't fry all these parts. So I'm really excited to do it. So like I said, I appreciate you guys watching this video. Make sure you leave me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment below. Did I pick the right parts? What would you have done different? Is it worth the extra money to go with the whiteout type of look, or could I have saved some money here, here, and here? Was all that extra money worth it in the long run? Is it gonna look good? Would you have just went with the standard black case? So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you've built a PC like this, if you've used any of these parts, let me know what your experience was. I'm kind of curious to hear about it. So we'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.